Nice and cool inside. My favorite day, Saturday. Clean the house day. Sure is nice to clean everything up. Every so often I go through the week, kind of make a mess as I go, kind of clean up a little bit, but like I don't expect the house every day to be, you know, show ready or ready for guests necessarily. So on the weekends it's nice to hit everything up. And that got me thinking. Well, no, yeah, right. Should be my quote. I should make a t-shirt of that. Well, that got me thinking. Trademark! I invented it. Yeah, if you believe that, that's Oceanfront property, Arizona, Visalia. So the weather's real nice, and got these all kinds of little plants going, stuff I didn't really know anything about before. Grapes. Got a couple grapes. Got some other vines. That's been a saga this past year. Somehow they got poisoned. They were growing over. This whole back fence was a nice wall of green and flowers. Like this weather, we got a cross vine. So these things were all over it. I had like 3 of them. They're really nice, and like 2 of them died. I think they were poisoned, but I've got a nice honeysuckle. It's going to take that place. And I've never had a mandevilla before. I love these things. These things are great when they get going. So I'm going to try to grow them along the fence. Just like training vines in general. And I want to get like a little arch. A couple ideas to build it out of either just PVC or like a wire panel. All right, what else we got? We got some veggies, some peas, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, squash, strawberries, asparagus, potatoes. Anyhow, so yeah, growing this stuff. I'm growing these vines, and it's fun learning about this stuff. And as I do it, like I realize, like especially with the grapes, that's what really got it. Like to get grapes, you have to prune back last year's growth because they're not going to give you grapes. It's got to be new each year. And part of what I'm doing, I'm just doing it for some greenery and stuff, and I'm not trying to necessarily maximize my yield. I left a few of them down low. The dogs will munch on them. I know grapes aren't recommended for the guys, but like 1 or 2 every year isn't gonna hurt them. But gardening, like, you can actually make the lives of your plants better when you know what you're doing. And of course, I like to say that the road to a green thumb is littered with the corpses of many plants. And it's true, as with this house, like my first real garden with perennials and stuff, and I've been learning a lot about how some come back in the spring, and those that do, how to take care of them so they come back the next year and the year after that. But yeah, that's kind of like, it's part of my ethos that I developed about not taking lives and life being the sacred thing. Staying away from animals to eat. I just eat the other stuff, the plants and everything, and I don't have any of that violence put on anybody, on my behalf. If there's violence to be done, I'll do it. I'm not asking anybody else to do it for me, especially like to like a third party. That's like, yeah, it's a decision we make. But with the plants, I don't know. I feel like gardening is really well in the ethos of. It's a tough word. I didn't even refer to myself as a vegan for like the first 5 years that I gave up the animal stuff. Plantarian. Vegetarian, herbivore, herbivorous. There I am, I'm herbivorous. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the opposite of shooting and blasting and cutting and trapping and everything else that is required to take a life. Like, you know, things don't really want to go. Nobody's trying to get taken out. Everybody wants to live. I mean, except for us that are self-imposed tortures. But yeah, I was just thinking that. It also popped into my head how, like with work, I mean, almost everything everybody does is like you just spend all day focusing on paying attention to minding for other people, other stuff for other people. You know, my lines of work, I'd usually be like, you know, I'm always thinking about someone else's food or housing or something like that. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're still focused on everybody else. And there's only so much of that you can really do. I mean, I think people are built with a great need to spend time being themselves. And for me, it's hanging out with the dog, or gardening, or doing the martial arts that I still can. But yeah, I mean, there's just like, you know, it's referring to the societies we're in, I think, you know, 35 hours is probably the max anybody should be working. And in all honesty, like, people need hours in the day to read, to listen to music, to draw, to play music, I mean, you name it. And I think the world would be a lot better place if more people had their needs met and were able to have free time to not struggle for subsistence or struggle to live. And it's true. I mean, people, I mean, you don't talk about like starvation as much because we haven't had a great famine in the news for a couple of years. But that's what happens in the world. I mean, there are people getting taken out in horrible ways all the time, everywhere. You know, that's something worth thinking about, you know, when you're thinking about other people or you have to work. It's all around us. There is some, we are living in a sea of misery. You go knocking on doors, you don't have to get very far down the street before you come across some shit that you're glad you don't deal with. What's up, dog? He was looking at me. He was waiting for me to say something. And I said something. Now it comes running over. Oh, is that a bee? Oh, fuck, it's a wasp. Some research came out indicating that like 75 to 80% of the bees that were here this time, like 2 years ago, I think it was last year, like in the past year, there's been like an 80% loss of all the bees. All the bees. Like 80% of them, like the past year or two, like they're decimated as a 10% loss. This is like an 80% loss. Now, mind you, of course, they breed more quickly in a year and they replace a lot, but well, we can't. I mean, things are. We're creating a more harsh world for ourselves. We kill off the bumblebees, and the wasps fill in the role. Right? You get where this is going. These are the things we have to think about when we plan. You know, what unintended changes might come about from this. And right now, we're talking about maybe it's the neonicotinoids, the pesticides, the thing that we're using on industrial scales, and just blasting out there for monoculture crops, like, you know, hundreds of thousands of acres of corn and stuff. Like, that comes at a big ecological cost to try to maintain that. So part of me was hesitant to get a little apiary back here with some bumblebees, but I think I should talk to the neighbors about it and try to get something going. Because at an 80% loss, like, that means people, we really have to do something about that on an individual level, if that's something you care about. You know, I've been trying to plant these pollinator gardens using native plants and flowers and stuff. what the butterflies and hummingbirds and moths and everything come to. It's pretty badass. And of course, the way this life is, my bird bath cracked over the winter, and so I've got to fix that up. Maybe today. God dang, it's nice out. I'm talking. Out in the sun, it's a lot hotter. It definitely would feel like 90, I'd guess. Maybe in the low 90s out in the sun. But over here in the shade, it's like low 80s, high 70s. Low 80s, yeah. Maybe it feels like 83. Well, I'll have to check that. Anyhow, I haven't rambled to myself in a minute.